Avengers Endgame came out today at the time of this recording, and I had a chance to see it just a few hours ago. And guys, it was not disappointing. Oh no. In my opinion, it was the best Marvel film to date, and I struggle to believe that they could ever top something as epic and spine-tingling. Anyway, I digress. As we know, with all MCU movies, they are filled to the brim with Easter eggs and callbacks to previous films and moments. So today on Beyond the Screen, we're bringing you the top 10 Avengers Endgame Easter eggs you missed. And buckle in, because there are a lot, and I mean a lot. Let's jump in. But before you proceed, spoiler alert, and I mean big spoilers. I ruined the whole film for you, so don't proceed if you haven't watched it. Let's jump in. In at 10, Jarvis. Throughout Endgame we see our favorite heroes use time travel to undo the mess that Thanos created, by collecting all of the Infinity Stones before he has a chance to get his big purple mitts on them. This is what leads Tony Stark and Captain America to head back to New Jersey, specifically Camp Lehigh in the 1970s, aka the place where Cap went to boot camp and trained to be a soldier. During this scene, Tony Stark comes face to face with his own dad, Howard Stark, while trying to acquire the Space Stone. As the pair say farewell to each other, Howard gets into his car that was driven by none other than Jarvis, in the flesh. Unfortunately, the character wasn't played by Paul Bettany, but instead James Darcy. But it was nice to finally see the person that influenced Tony Stark's creation of the Jarvis software. Coming in at 9, Black Widow. In a small moment at the beginning of the film, we see Black Widow having a conference call with many of our favourite heroes, including Captain Marvel and Rhodey. If you look carefully as the assassin is sat at the table, legs up, you'll see a pair of ballet shoes sitting on the chair next to her. This is a throwback to Avengers Age of Ultron, when we get to see Natasha Romanoff in the Red Room, after Scarlet Witch screws with her mind. While in the Red Room we get to see what went down there, which included a lot of ballet. Seems as though Natasha didn't give it up either. This also may be a small hint to what we might see in her prequel movie that will be coming up. More Red Room, more ballet, I guess. In at 8, the Russo brothers. The directors of Endgame, Anthony and Joe Russo, also left their mark on the movie in more ways than one. Well, specifically, Joe did. When we skip 5 years ahead and see what the effects their snap had on the world and our heroes, we find Cap in a meeting with other survivors who were suffering from PTSD after the events of the snap. One of those members was none other than Joe Russo, who was suffering from the loss of a loved one. He was quite the actor indeed. Coming in at 7, Iron Man 3. In Iron Man 3 we were introduced briefly to Harley Keener, the boy who helps Iron Man repair his suit after the fake Mandarin leaves him for dead with his home in tatters. Harley also low-key cures Tony's PTSD. Anyway, Harley makes a very brief cameo in Endgame at the funeral of Tony Stark, alongside many other famous guests, including Michelle Pfeiffer, Michael Douglas, Marissa Tomei, Jon Favreau, Samuel L. Jackson, and even the strongest hero in the MCU, Captain Marvel, aka Brie Larson. In at 6, X-Men names. When the film jumps 5 years into the future, Ant-Man is finally freed from the quantum realm with the help of a little mouse. Obviously he's a little confused as to what went down, with him even stating later on in the film that only 5 hours had passed for him in the quantum realm. Anywho, as he's exploring the streets in an attempt to figure out what went down and why everyone is missing, he finds rows and rows of commemorative statues for the disappeared. Thousands of names are listed, even Scott Lang's. But one that we managed to zone in on was Roberto da Costa, a character from X-Men's New Mutants, who is also known as Sunspot. In at 5, the Big Lebowski. Now, answer me this. What do you see when you think of Chris Hemsworth? Or better yet, what do you see when you think of Chris Hemsworth in Thor? Muscle, Stormbreaker, Mjolnir, God of Thunder, all of the above, right? Well, let me tell you about Chris Hemsworth in Avengers Endgame. Let me feed you some words. Beer, beer belly, sweats, long hair, greasy hair, sunglasses, beard for days. Sound like anyone familiar? The Big Lebowski, perhaps? Yeah, that's right. Chris Hemsworth's Thor in Endgame was spot-on replica of the dude, aka Jeff Bridges in The Big Lebowski. It's a huge change from what we're used to seeing from the God of Thunder, so look, that's for sure. One that I'm hoping won't be making a return if he ever decides to make another appearance in the MCU. In at 4, Carol Danvers. Ah yes, the strongest hero in the MCU, of course came back to leave her mark on the Mad Titan, quite literally. She was present at the beginning of the movie in a classic Captain Marvel getup, brainstorming with the Avengers about how to get the Fallen back. They head to space, fight the Mad Titan, decapitate the Tyrant and leave him to rot, forced to head back to Earth with the knowledge that he had destroyed the stones and the Fallen cannot return. So Carol Danvers leaves. However, she makes her grand return on the conference call we mentioned earlier, as well as at the final battle between the heroes and the villains, getting some blows in before Thanos grabs the Power Stone and punches her into the sky. Anyway, it's not about her involvement in the film that we're talking about, oh no, it's her alternative lifestyle haircut. Yep. When Carol comes back, she has chopped off her luscious locks and opted for a shorter do that is straight out of the comics, specifically The Life of Captain Marvel, a series that debuted back in 2018 and was created by Margaret Stoll, who, side note, also made an appearance in Captain Marvel as a subway passenger. Also, I think Captain Marvel's gay. Yay. In at 3, America's ass. We all love a good ass, let's be honest, but when you think of the Avengers, whose ass do you think of? If your answer wasn't immediately Captain America, then get out of here. Please. After the release of the Avengers in 2012, people really zoned in on one thing: Steve Rogers' ass. Specifically in the gym scene when he's hitting the punching bag. I mean, yeah, it's a good ass, but after that film things really blew up. There were Twitter accounts and Tumblr pages dedicated to the ass of America's greatest hero. So the people over at Marvel thought, what better time to finally address the ass sit than in the film to end it all. In one particular scene, when Cap, Iron Man, Hulk and Ant-Man travel back to 2012 to the Battle of New York, they sneak into the Avengers Tower and see past Captain America. Tony criticizes his ass, but Ant-Man compliments it, calling it America's ass. Steve even confirms this later after he finishes battling his past self, stating that is America's ass. Coming in at 2, New Asgard. In Thor Ragnarok, during Thor's battle with Hela, he has a vision of Odin, his father, who is standing on cliffs looking out towards the water. Thor tells him that Asgard is destroyed, gone, they have no home left. Odin then tells the god of thunder that Asgard is all around them, it's everywhere, you can rebuild, even here, on the cliffs. That location comes back in Avengers Endgame when our heroes track down Thor to recruit him in the mission to track down the stones and take down Thanos. He and his remaining Asgardians have made a home and have rebuilt just as Odin said they would. Valkyrie, much to everyone's enjoyment, also showed up in the New Asgard, as well as at the final battle. I'm sure we'll be seeing a lot more of her in the future MCU movies. And finally, coming in at number 1, Hail Hydra. The biggest Easter egg of all had to be Hail Hydra. That's right, back in 2017 a comic was released called Captain America Steve Rogers, and fans lost all of their shit. At the end of the comic, Captain America pushed a hero of an airborne vehicle and uttered the words, Hail Hydra. Any true Marvel fan will know what that means. The Cap was working with the evil fascist network known as HYDRA, and stating those words was essentially their version of the Nazi salute. This happened because HYDRA ended up rewriting history using the Tesseract so that Captain America was always a sleeper HYDRA agent. In Endgame these words were also muttered, but guys, don't fret, there wasn't a big reveal with Steve Rogers siding with the evil organization to take down the Avengers. Nope, it occurred when the heroes were back in 2012 and HYDRA were in the elevator taking the Tesseract back to their base. And when they question him, he utters the words, Hail Hydra. Chills. Well, there we have it. Have you guys seen Endgame yet? Did you catch any of these Easter eggs? Leave us all your thoughts and feelings in the comments down below and perhaps we can do a part 2. If you haven't already, be sure to give this video a big thumbs up, subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss another Beyond the Screen vid. Until next time, see you later.